The alien market was loud and full of strange smells. Creatures from many planets walked between colorful stalls, shouting, buying, selling. In the center of this busy market stood a wooden platform, old and dusty. It was an auction block. And today, a small alien girl stood on it. She was no taller than a child. Her body was thin. Her skin was light blue, almost glowing, and her long silver hair covered part of her face. She looked down, not at the crowd. Her clothes were dirty and torn. A heavy metal collar hung around her neck, and her small hands were tied in front with chains that looked too big for her. The auctioneer, a fat alien with 4 eyes and a booming voice, stepped forward and raised his hands. Next on sale. Rare item, a mini-sized alien girl. Strong spirit, soft skin, beautiful eyes. Who will take her home? He shouted, but no one raised a hand. The crowd stared ... Then someone laughed. Is she a joke? Said one voice. She's so tiny. My pet is bigger than her. Another shouted. She can't even carry water. Said a third. The crowd burst into loud laughter. Even the auctioneer forced a smile and tried again. Starting price 50 credits. Very cheap, no hands rose. Only more laughter. The girl stood still. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just stared at the ground with empty eyes. Behind the crowd, a human man watched. His name was Callan. He was a traveler, a mechanic by trade. He had seen many things across planets, war, poverty, slavery. But something about this moment froze him. The laughter around him became a blur. To others, she looked weak, worthless. But to him, something felt different. Her silence wasn't fear, it was strength. Her eyes didn't beg, they endured. She didn't ask to be saved. And that made him want to save her even more. The auctioneer sighed. 30 credits. Anyone? Still no one. 20? 10? Just take her. The crowd laughed harder. Callan stepped forward. The laughter stopped. Everyone turned to look. Without saying a word, Callan raised his hand. The auctioneer blinked in shock. Sir, did you raise your hand? Callan nodded once. The crowd burst out again, this time in louder laughter. You want her? She'll break under your boot. Maybe he likes toys. Someone shouted cruelly, but Callan didn't care. His hand remained in the air. His face was calm. 10 credits, going once. Going twice. The auctioneer hesitated, almost confused. Sold. The crowd jeered and booed, some shaking their heads in disbelief. What a fool. Someone whispered. Callan stepped forward as the guards removed the girl's chains. She still didn't look at him. She didn't move. One of the guards pushed her roughly toward Callan. Your problem now. The guard muttered. Callen took off his long brown coat and gently wrapped it around the girl. Her small body trembled slightly at the touch, but she didn't pull away. She still hadn't spoken. He didn't ask her name. He just knelt down to her eye level and said softly, You're free now. You can walk beside me if you want. Or behind. I won't force you. She looked up at him for the first time. Her eyes were golden. Bright, glowing, ancient. And full of questions. For the first time since the auction began. She blinked twice and slowly nodded. The two of them walked away together, leaving behind the laughing crowd. As they turned a corner, a tall alien in a black cloak watched from the shadows. He whispered into a device on his wrist. Target has been taken. Begin tracking. She must not reach the outer colonies alive. Asterisk, a silent alarm had been triggered the moment Callan bought the girl. Unknown to him, the caller she. War wasn't just for control, it was a tracker. A signal. A warning. And someone far away had been waiting for that signal to blink. In a dark control room on a distant moon. A shadowy figure stood before a glowing map. His face was hidden, but his voice was cold. She's been sold, he said. 2. A human. Track them. I want her found before sunset. Callan didn't know any of this. He walked with the small alien girl down a quiet alley behind the market. She said nothing, still wrapped in his coat. Her tiny feet made no sound as they stepped through puddles and dust. He glanced down at her several times, hoping for a word, a name, anything, but she remained silent. He bought her a warm meal from a small food stall, roasted roots and protein paste. She didn't touch it. She just held it, staring at it like she didn't know what food was. Callan sat across from her on a broken bench. "I don't need you to speak," he said softly. "I just want you to eat, rest, be safe." She finally looked at him, her golden eyes sharp yet unreadable. Slowly, carefully, she took a small bite, then another. It was like she had forgotten how to chew. Callan smiled slightly. "Good, we'll find a ship out of here tonight. Too many eyes in this place." But someone was already watching. From above, a small black drone floated, hidden between old vents. It locked on her heat signature, sent a signal, then vanished into the sky. That night, Callan brought her to his old ship docked at the far edge of the junkyard. The ship was scratched, dented, and rusty, but it could fly. As he started prepping for takeoff, she sat in the corner, hugging her knees, watching everything he did. "You ever been on a ship before?" he asked. She didn't reply. He glanced back. "It's not a palace, but it's safe. You'll have your own room." Still nothing. Then she moved. Slowly she stood up and walked to him. She reached into her pocket and pulled something out, a small, cracked stone glowing faintly blue. She held it up to him. Callan took it carefully. "What's this?" Suddenly, the stone glowed brighter. A soft projection floated into the air above them. It showed a palace, huge, shining, beautiful, with tall towers and alien symbols Callan couldn't read. Then flames, screaming, soldiers in black armor dragging beings away. Then the image of her younger, dressed in royal clothes, standing behind a tall alien woman wearing a crown. Callan froze. You were there," the girl finally spoke. Just 3 words. They killed everyone. Her voice was soft, broken, but clear. Callan's breath caught. This wasn't just any girl. She wasn't just a slave, she was a survivor. Suddenly, a loud crash shook the ship. Callan jumped to his feet. Outside figures in black armor surrounded the ship. Weapons raised. The girl's eyes widened in fear. "They found me," she whispered. Callan looked at her, then back at the ship's controls. "Hold on," he said. "I'm getting us out of here." The engines roared. The ship shuddered. Blaster fire exploded behind them. Callan's fingers flew across the controls, eyes locked on the radar. "We've got 3 ships tailing us," he muttered. "Fast ones." The small alien girl, still wrapped in his coat, held onto a metal beam inside the cockpit. Her glowing eyes didn't blink. She didn't cry. She didn't scream, but she didn't speak either. Even as death chased them through the skies, she remained as silent as space. The ship dodged between jagged cliffs and broken satellites in the upper atmosphere of the planet. Callan dove low, then cut power for a split second, making the ship vanish from scanners. It worked. The enemies flew past. He restarted the systems and flew into the quiet of deep space, finally breathing again. "We're safe. For now," he said, turning to the girl. "I need to know who they are. Why they're hunting you." She didn't answer. He knelt beside her. "You spoke before, just 3 words. But I need more than that now. I need the truth." She looked at him. Her mouth opened slightly, then closed. "I can't," she finally whispered. "Can't or won't." She didn't reply. He sighed and stood up. "All right, no pressure. But if you keep quiet, I won't be able to protect you much longer." Hours passed. She wandered the ship like a ghost, touching wires, peeking inside small rooms, staring at walls. Always silent. Callan watched her from the engine room. He wasn't angry. He was worried. He had seen broken people before. War survivors. Orphans, refugees. But this girl, she wasn't broken, that she was hiding something. Not out of fear, out of purpose. That night, while Callan rested in the cockpit, the girl stood by the window, staring at the stars. She slowly pulled out the small stone again, the one that showed the hologram of her past. She held it tightly, closed her eyes, and began to whisper in a strange language. The words were ancient, soft, musical. The ships. Lights flickered for a second. Callan opened one eye, still half asleep. Talking to the stars now? He asked gently. She didn't respond, but something else did. A tiny pulse came from the stone. A ripple of energy spread through space. Unseen, far away, in a hidden base on a dark asteroid, a machine activated. It had only one purpose: respond to her voice. A red light blinked. A voice spoke through the darkness. The signal is real. She's alive. Back in the ship, Callan approached her slowly. You were calling someone, weren't you? She looked down, then up again. Her voice was barely a whisper. They need to know I'm not dead. Who needs to know? She took a deep breath. My mother's allies, the Resistance. Resistance? She nodded. I was never just a servant. I was the last hope. The last child of the royal bloodline. Callan's jaw tightened. You're a royal? I was supposed to die with the others. But someone hid me, changed my name, made me small with medicine. They shrank me to protect me. Callan blinked. Wait, you're not actually this small? She nodded once. It's temporary. But the enemy doesn't know I survived. Not until now. He ran a hand through his hair. And now they'll come to kill you or use you. The girl looked straight at him. That's why I stayed silent. The less you knew, the safer you were. Callan knelt down to her level, looked into her golden eyes. I raised my hand for you because I saw someone worth saving. Not because I thought you were royalty. But now that I know the truth. He reached out and gently took her hand. I'm still not putting it down. Asterisk, the ship drifted silently through a patch of dark space. No planets, no stars, no signals. Only shadows. Callan had powered everything down, no lights, no engines, not even heating. He called it ghost flying. A way to disappear, at least for a while. The small alien girl sat quietly in her bunk, wrapped in a blanket. She looked smaller than ever. But inside her, something was changing, for the first time in days. She reached for the chain around her neck. It had always been hidden beneath her. Torn clothes, rusted, half broken. A worthless trinket to most. But to her, it was everything. Callan entered the room just as she was holding it up to the light. What's that? He asked, curious. She hesitated. A memory, she whispered. He moved closer. Can I see it? She slowly placed it in his hand. The necklace was shaped like a crystal flower, delicate, with one missing petal. Lines of old energy circuits ran through it, but the core was cracked. It's damaged, Callan said. She nodded. It's locked, but if you fix it, it will tell you everything. Callan blinked. You trust me that much now? She looked him in the eyes. You didn't sell me. You didn't ask for anything. You just stayed. He smiled softly. All right. Then, let's bring it back to life. Inside the engine room, Callan placed the necklace on his workbench. Tiny sparks flew as he used old tools to patch the circuits. He wasn't sure what he was doing. This wasn't like fixing engines or broken doors. It felt more alive. As he connected the last line, the crystal flickered, then it hummed. A soft light bloomed from it, filling the room with a gentle golden glow. The girl stepped forward, her eyes wide. Suddenly, the air above the necklace shimmered, and a hologram appeared. It showed a tall alien woman with silver blue skin, regal robes, and a golden crown. Her voice echoed in the room. If you're seeing this, then my daughter is alive, and we have hope. Callan gasped. The girl froze. Our kingdom has fallen. The black armored ones betrayed us. Our allies turned away. And now our bloodline may be lost, but my daughter, you child, you are not just a symbol, you are the key. You carry the last fragment of the ether core. If they get it, our galaxy will be ruled by shadows. The woman's eyes turned directly to the girl watching. Hide your name, hide your power, but when the time comes, trust the one who stood for you. He will not let you fall. The hologram flickered, then vanished. Silenced. The girl stared at the empty air, lips trembling. Callan reached out and touched her shoulder. She was your mother. She nodded. Queen Varela. She died protecting me. Callan swallowed. The ether core, that's what they're after? Yes, she said quietly. It's inside me. I don't know how. I was just a child when they fused it. Then that means, if they catch you, they can use it to control systems, planets, maybe even rewrite space tech. She looked up at him. That's why I can't be caught, ever. Suddenly, alarms flashed on Callan's monitor. He ran to check the controls. We've got incoming, he said. 3 ships, no ID, no warnings. She stepped beside him, clutching the necklace tightly. They followed the signal, she whispered. The necklace, when it activated. Callan gritted his teeth. We need to jump fast. He turned to set the course, but before he could finish, one enemy ship fired. The blast rocked their ship, throwing them against the wall. Sparks flew. Lights shattered. Callan looked at her, blood on his forehead. You still trust me? He asked. She held out the necklace. I trust the one who raised his hand. The ship spun violently. A second blast shook the rear thrusters. Flames burst from the left wing. Warning lights screamed. Gravity failed for a moment, then slammed back. Callan gripped the controls with blood on his fingers. The alien girl was thrown to the floor, but she held on tightly to the broken necklace. Her small hands were cut, but she didn't cry. She didn't scream. She only whispered, "They found me, the Black Seekers." Callan's eyes narrowed. Who are the Black Seekers? She looked up, her voice low. They were created for one mission: hunt and destroy anything royal. They don't take prisoners. They don't speak. They only kill. Callan cursed under his breath. Guess it's my lucky day. Outside, in the dark of space, 3 shadow ships closed in. They weren't normal fighters. Their design was twisted, spiked, and shaped like flying beasts. Black energy flowed around them like smoke. Inside the lead ship, no pilots were visible. Only shadows moved. And they whispered in a dead language. Target locked. Pulse detected. Permission to execute. Callan pulled the girl into the cockpit chair and strapped her in. We won't win in a fight, but maybe we don't have to. He pushed the ship forward into a nearby debris field, an ancient battlefield, filled with broken ships, shattered satellites, and metal corpses. The girl looked around. You're hiding here? No, he said. I'm going to bury us here. He flipped switches. The ship powered down again, ghost mode. Outside, the shadow ships paused. They scanned. Nothing moved. One of them fired blindly into the wreckage, breaking metal apart. But they didn't find movement. For a moment. The Black Seekers drifted. Then they left. Inside the quiet, the girl whispered, They'll come back. Callan nodded. I know. But we bought some time. He checked her arms. You're bleeding. She didn't care. Instead, she asked, Why? Do you still protect me? You saw what they are. What I am. He wiped the blood from her skin with a cloth. I raised my hand at the auction because no one else did. But now, I protect you because I want to. Because someone has to. She looked at him for a long time. Then, for the first time, she asked, What's your name? Callan. She held out her hand. My real name is Liari, daughter of Varela, last of the ether line. Callan shook her hand. Pleased to meet you, Princess Liari. Later, while Callan repaired the damage to the engine, Liari stood alone in the storage room. Suddenly, the lights flickered, not from power failure, but from something else. The temperature dropped. Whisper crawled across the room. You can't hide forever, little flame. Liari turned slowly. A black seeker had entered the ship. No door opened. No alarm rang. It was simply there, tall, thin, skin like oil, face covered with a mask of ancient bone. Its voice was dry like sand. You carry the ether. We smell it in your blood. Liari backed up, but she didn't scream. She stepped forward. I am not afraid. The creature hissed. You should be. Before it could move, boom, a blaster shot tore through its chest. The creature staggered. Callan stood behind with a smoking weapon. Get away from her. But the creature didn't fall. Instead, it absorbed the energy. You can't kill us, it growled. Callan threw down the blaster. Good, I brought something better. He pressed a remote in his hand. The whole storage room exploded. Metal flew. The ship shook. When the smoke cleared, Callan crawled out, coughing. He looked over. Liari was safe, shielded behind a heavy crate. The black seeker was gone. For now, Callan looked at her. They're getting smarter. One got in. She held the necklace tight. More will come. Then we stop running, he said. Next time we hit first. She looked at him with something new in her eyes, not fear, but fire. Then teach me, she said. Let me fight. Asterisk. The training room was small, just a storage bay with walls cleared out, but it echoed with the sound of sharp breath, fast footsteps, and the crash of wooden practice sticks. Liari moved like a shadow. Her body was still small, but her steps were quick, sharp, and focused. Sweat rolled down her glowing skin as she struck again, her stick clashing against Callan's block. You're learning fast, he said, dodging her swing. But speed isn't enough. You need to know when to strike. I'm not learning this to win, Liari said, breathing hard. I'm learning to survive. Callan lowered his stick. You're not alone anymore. You don't have to fight. Alone. She didn't respond at first. Then softly she asked, but will you stay even when they bring war to your door? Callan looked her in the eyes. Without a word, he stepped forward and gently took her small hand in his. I didn't raise my hand for peace, he said. I raised it knowing it might lead to war. And I'm still here. Far across the galaxy, the Council of Shadows had gathered. Tall cloaked figures surrounded a black table made of frozen light. They spoke in hisses and code. The girl lives. She activates royal tech. She awakens the bloodline. She must be ended. One figure stood taller than the rest. His voice was colder, his face hidden behind a cracked silver mask. I will go myself, he said. This ends now. Back aboard the ship, Callan and Liari received a signal. It was not a threat. It was a call, a coded message using the same ancient language. Liari whispered to the stars. She translated, eyes wide. With hope. It's from survivors. My mother's allies. They've been hiding, waiting. They heard the necklace's signal. Callan checked the coordinates. It's risky, deep space. We might get ambushed, Liari nodded. But if we don't go, we'll be hunted forever. He stared at the screen. All right. We go. The ship entered hyperspace dock during the jump. Liari sat beside Callan. Her voice was soft. Thank you, she said. For what? He asked. For staying when everyone else ran. He smiled. You're not easy to leave behind. She held his hand again. Don't let go, even if it gets worse. I won't. But worse was coming. The coordinates led them to a hidden asteroid base covered in metal shields and floating rock. As they entered the docking bay, resistance fighters greeted them. Humans, aliens, hybrids. They looked tired, wounded, but strong. An old alien woman stepped forward. Her eyes filled with tears when she saw Liari. The child lives, she whispered. The queen's light still shines, Liari bowed. And I bring you not a crown, but a war, the woman nodded. Then we stand with you. Suddenly alarms blared. Ships were approaching, not 3. Not 10. Hundreds. The Black Seeker fleet had followed them through hyperspace. One resistance fighter yelled, "They tracked the jump. They're already here." Callan grabbed Liari's arm. To the control room now, they ran together. Inside, screens lit up with red dots filling the sky. "This is a siege," Callan said. "They're not here to scare us. They want to wipe this base off the map. We can't run," Liari said. "Not this time." The old woman placed a hand on Liari's shoulder. "If you stand, we all stand." Liari stepped forward onto the command platform, her voice calm but powerful. "Then let them come." As the first wave of enemies closed in, Callan suited up an armor patch together from parts of other suits. Liari stood beside him, wearing a thin silver chestplate and carrying a small but glowing blade given by the resistance. Outside, war erupted. Explosions rocked the sky. Fighters zipped past, crashing or firing. Resistance soldiers shouted. Shadow creatures swarmed from drop ships. In the middle of it all, Callan fought like a man with nothing left to lose. And Liari? She fought like a girl who had everything left to protect. They fought back to back, blade and blaster, strength and speed. At one point, Liari was thrown to the ground by a tall seeker. It raised its weapon, but Callan tackled it with a roar. He took the hit instead. Blood poured from his side. Liari screamed, her eyes glowing brighter than ever, and something woke up inside her. Ether energy pulse. Light exploded from her hands. Seeker burned to ash. Callan looked up at her, barely conscious. "You're glowing," he whispered. She dropped beside him and took his hand. "You said you wouldn't let go," she said, crying. "So don't." His fingers curled around hers. "I won't," he whispered, before his eyes closed. Smoke covered the battlefield. The sky above the asteroid base burned with fire. Crashed ships floated in low gravity. Blaster shots still echoed in the distance, but most of the enemy ships had gone quiet. Inside the shattered medical bay, the small alien girl Liari sat beside a bed, her hand tightly holding the fingers of a man who hadn't opened his eyes for hours. See, Alien. He had saved her. Again, taken a blade meant to end her. And now he was barely breathing. Liari's clothes were torn, her face was scratched. But she didn't care. She hadn't left his side since the explosion ended. The resistance doctors did what they could. "He's strong," they told her, "but his body's failing." She didn't reply. Instead, she placed the glowing ether necklace on Callan's chest. And for the first time, she prayed. Not like a queen, not like a warrior, but like a daughter begging the stars to let her father stay. Memories flooded her mind. The auction, his raised hand, his coat on her shoulders, his voice saying, "I won't let them take you." He had never seen her as a price. He had never seen her as a burden. To him, she was never a tool, never a weapon. She was just a girl, and in his silence, she had finally found a home. Her whisper broke the silence. "You said you wouldn't let go." A tear fell onto his hand. "I won't let go either." Suddenly, the ether necklace pulsed. The stone glowed bright white. A wave of healing energy spread through the air. Machines flickered. Lights dimmed. And then Callan gasped. His chest rose. His eyes opened. "Liari," he said, his voice weak. She choked on her own breath, laughing and crying at the same time. "You're awake." He blinked slowly. "You used the core?" She nodded. "I gave a part of it to you. You didn't have to." She touched his face. "I did. Because I'm not your responsibility. And you're not just my protector." He looked at her in silence. "You're my family now," she said. "And families don't leave each other." Outside, the resistance fighters cheered. The Shadow Army had broken. Their leader, masked in silver, was gone, destroyed by the light. Liari released in battle. The war was not over, but the darkness had been pushed back. And for the first time, hope returned to the galaxy. Later, Callan and Liari stood on the balcony of the rebuilt command center. Stars stretched far across the black sky. So what now? He asked. Liari looked out. The Resistance wants me to lead. To rebuild the ether. Line, but I'm not ready. You don't have to be perfect, Callan said. You just have to be you. She smiled gently. Then I want you with me. I thought I was just a mechanic. She squeezed his hand. You're more. You were the first one who saw me, not my power, not my name, just me. He chuckled. I guess I'm stuck with you now. You always were. Before they left the balcony, she reached into her cloak and pulled out a new necklace. Not broken, not old. It was built with her own energy and had 2 crystals. She handed one half to Callan. We don't need chains to stay together, she said. Just something to remind us where it all began. He took it, smiled, and raised his hand one last time. Not to buy her, but to promise her he'd never let go.